Hey YouTube, welcome back. It's everyone's favourite unemployed plant guy. Random Monday today, and we're going to be working on these two Procumbens junipers that I have. They're both a little bit similar. I bought these just as nursery stock. They've had an initial kind of cut and style, but today I kind of need to, I guess, give them a bit more of a refinement with a little bit of wiring. Also take them out of these pots. The soil that they're in at the moment is a bit too free draining and they dry out a little bit, which is why you can see these brown tips on the end. We're just about to head into winter, so it's a little bit early potentially to be doing such drastic work, but I'm not going to go too crazy on the roots. Mostly just a bit of a slip potting, maybe just tease out some of the surface roots and loosen up some of the bottom ones. Pop them back in these pots, but I'm going to use a bit more of a water retaining soil. So let's get into it. I'll bring you in so you can see what's happening. Probably start on this one, I would say. Okie dokie. Now this is what we're working with. It does have a nice little bend through the trunk up here. I'm trying to grow this here as the new leader, but I think what we need to do is kind of just one, get all these weeds out. This has been pretty much just left up to its own devices for the last, I would say, most of summer. No real work done, but it also hasn't been in the best conditions, so it hasn't grown too crazily. This type of tree is pretty slow growing anyway. Let's just take it out. Okay, so the roots haven't really grown into that container. It's been pretty much just sitting there, probably getting a bit too wet by the looks of things. So let's just gently tease the top roots out. And again, not going to go too crazy here. Not going to do too much pruning off the top. I'll just wire some branches I want into place. Okay, that's pretty good. Alright. So I think this is going to be the front of the tree, this section here, and what I want to kind of accentuate is this, and then have this growing up. So I kind of want these, probably not this one, and there's a few on the back that I can work with here, maybe too many. I think we just wire everything and then go from there, but the first thing I'm going to do is just take off this. And I may even reuse this wire, or I may not, we'll see. Although that's held in place quite nicely. That wire's off. I think what I might do is get this in a pot first, just so that way I can kind of see how it's sitting in the pot. So let's get it. Really trying to emphasize it going up, but it's going to be a slow process to get it completely, like it's going to take a couple of repottings for me to eventually work on the root ball enough so that I can tilt it more like this. Well, tilt it more like this anyway. I think that's going to be a nicer design as opposed to sitting it a bit more horizontal. So because I'm wanting it to sit like this, I'm going to actually prop it up like this while I do the work on it. Something like that. I think that's a bit more appealing. First things first is, where do we start? So I'm going to turn it around, have a bit of a look on the front. And these ones along the front, I mean, if it's going to sit up like that, they could be nice side branches, but I don't need them all. Probably don't need this one here. So that one here is going to go. Gone. There's some tufts kind of growing around here, which I'm just going to remove, just pinching out, trying to send the growth all into the existing limbs. I have no idea what this piece of wire was originally doing. Maybe there was a branch there that died off and I've cut it off, kept the wire in there for some reason. that's dead. Might leave that for a gin, that section there. Moving up, these branch out nicely. These here, and I probably don't need these along the front, so remove them. There's one good big one back here, this one, but also this one here, and I might be able to use all of these, kind of spread them. I might not. I'm going to keep this one here, but I might just get rid of, although that leaves a bit of emptiness there. I might just keep all of them for now. Cut out some smaller ones on the front here, these tiny little ones that I don't really need or want. Okay, so that's how it's looking now. Now it's just a matter of kind of wiring it in. This here is crossing over the back, so get rid of that. What kind of wire am I going to use? So these two here can be wired. About that much. Pinch that off. And this wire is probably a bit too thick for these branches, so I'll just be gentle. Just working it not so tightly around the branch and kind of just leaving it as an open coil on the end. It's more just to set them in place. I might actually do this, you know. Just to give it a bit more to grab onto there. Okay, how's that looking? So I'm just going to pull this out this way, and it can grow down over here, and then this one on the back I might just pull up and over here if I can. Just going to pull that out over that way. That can be a pad on the back. Grow that way, kind of as a lower side branch. This here, I might just leave this, but just trim it back kind of to there. That's growing back towards that way, so I can work with that. This is getting a bit too tall, just trim that back down. Same here, just getting a bit long on the end. What can I do with this? So I might just wire all three of these kind of down and spread them out. That, 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 about there. Again, I'm just trying to, if I can, avoid pinching any of the foliage. Although the way these grow, they're kind of spreading, so it's making my job a little bit easier here. Clamp this down, do the same again. Again, just trying to get it so that I'm not clamping foliage, although that's stuff I can just pinch out. It's kind of some crotch growth in there. Okay. Now let's just position these kind of roughly down like that. You know what, I might take this out. and I might take that out, it's crossing over. Grow those. I think this one wants to come down in this way, so I might just do one little piece of wire and just wire it on the trunk for that. So kind of start back here, or even just go up this branch a couple times just to give it something to anchor to, and then come down in here around and then pull it out that way. Up and down, that'll do. Trim this off, just pinch it, leave that grow like that. This one here on the front, I kind of want it to just bend down a little, so that's pretty much all I might do with it. I'll probably have to wire onto this again, and then this can be the new leader, and I would say that that's this tree pretty much done. Okay, bring it down through here, and I'm okay, so that's this tree pretty much done for now. Let's move on to the other one. Just have a quick look on the front. It's been hacked back a bit. It also hasn't had a really good growing season just because it hasn't been looked after so well. So that should do it for the next couple years. I'll leave it in this pot and just let it go. Okay, moving on to this one. Now this one's had a bit more work to it. I've done some ginning here, which I'm not sure if you can really see. Same problem with the weeds though, this has just been left to kind of grow really uncared for. I kind of expect this to have a similar root base to the last one, just because it has been really quite wet here lately. So let's just kind of take it out. Well, it's got a bit more to it, but not great. So same again, I'm just going to kind of tease the top roots out, see if I can kind of drag things out in a radial fashion. The problem that this one had is that it was growing up against the side of the pot, and so you can see that's the edge of the tree here, and that's where the dirt just ends there. So I'm going to try and rectify that a little bit this time. Again, I do want it to grow up more like that. I'm just going to be careful not to kind of lose all this, well, that's gone. All these roots down the bottom, which means I'm going to have to kind of put it like that, and then the pot there. See if that's achievable. More like that. So I'm going to have to jam this up that side. So let's get that potted and then we'll work on the wiring. Okay. So that's this one pretty well potted up. I'm trying to figure out what to do with it now. This is going to be the front. So these ones on the back here I actually quite like, and this one has been positioned down. I think maybe I take this one and wire it down, and then this one here I'm unsure what to do. I just need to have a bit of a closer look at it. What I might actually do is this one here. I'm just going to hack that back. That can be a gin. So I just have a pair of pliers for ginning, and basically I'm just going to squeeze the the length of what I want to gin. Kind of, if it was a clock face, I go from 6 to 12 and then from 9 to 3. And then all this will peel off. And then you're left with just the exposed branch underneath. All that bark comes off. Ginning's quite easily on these. And I'm going to leave this probably for a year before I lime sulphur it, just so that this ages a little bit. Let's have a look at it on the front. So I'm not going to do too much wiring. I want to wire this up, definitely. But I'm just going to take these back, just kind of flatten them out a bit. They're growing a bit too vertical. So I won't do too much, and I'm not even really being too careful with how I'm cutting this. So I'm probably going to leave brown tips on the foliage pads, but I don't really care because this is going to be like this for another few years, I would say. I would like it to be a little bit taller, so we'll wire that up with something a bit thicker. Just try and figure out how much. About there. And then we just get into it. So I'll go here, get it down in the soil nice and deep, bring it around through the back here, try and keep it tight on the trunk because that's going to give it the leverage for when I get to here. Actually, probably bring that around here so that when I do get to here, the wire is anchored to something and we can, I've just broken one of the gins off, oh well. And then from there, bring it up like that. Okay, and that's this tree done as well. So let's get them watered in, and then I'll come in for the glamour shots. Thanks for watching. I've been Unemployed Plant Guy. These have been my Procumbens junipers. If you like the video, like the video. Thank you.